Hi, hey there, hello. Welcome to Super Cast Brothers. This is an individual who is not Lister, and the other guy is an individual who is not Jonno.
These are both true facts. But you know
Yes,
what
they
else this
are.
individual is?
No.
I don't know either. I was trying to think of something real quick, and then I had nothing. I just had nothing. So that was a
This-
failure from me. But hi, yeah, Super Casperless is here once more. We're hot off of our first live Q&A. There will probably be more, but that's not today.
No, it's not today. Instead, we're just recording an episode, which, although it's not live, we're still recording it live between ourselves. So that's how you get some lovely slip-ups like that, because there's pretty much zero preparation that goes into opening an episode.
I mean,
Fun
that's not
facts.
necessarily true, but it's not necessarily untrue either.
Yeah, this is episode 21. We've been doing this for a long time at this rate.
Almost a
Almost
year.
almost a year. We're coming up on it. Yeah. So there's some exciting times. We're wrapping up, I guess, what's effectively our first season with the first year being done.
Pretty much.
And from there, we're going to just kind of talk in between about how we're going to pursue this in the future. But I think we're both on the same page that there will be a future. So it's going to be exciting to see how that unfurls.
Fuck.
Um, uh, we're gonna have to find. Don't worry, I'm gonna find some new jokes besides just Chucky and Azerta. So
Thank
we're gonna
fucking
change it up a
god.
lot. Yep. The live Q&A turned out a lot smoother than I thought it was gonna go, honestly.
Yeah.
So that was pleasant. We had several people send in questions ahead of time. We had several people present in the live chat, and a few of them shared questions too. It was fun and generally easy. There were only a couple of technical hiccups at the beginning, but considering the technical hiccups I've seen from very large entities, it's just par for the course.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to have things be perfect. In fact, you could say it's impossible.
it is absolutely impossible, but for what it was, it went by very smoothly
Yeah.
and good conversation, good opportunity to open up with some pals. Nice times. So there will be another one in the future, and we'll decide on that and then share the date when we decide on it. It's pretty straightforward. In the meantime, I believe we're here for another reason, which is a new Smash for Dash episode.
Oh, it's time for that
We
again?
are, yeah, we're
Huh.
we're at the end of a cycle. We've done an on topic with a guest, Mr. Eric. We've done a Smashtopia with a guest, Mr. Mike, and now we're doing a Smasher Dash with, oh yeah, no guest.
Oh. Sorry, Trulix. We don't need you today. You can go back to your room.
Okay, guess I'll go back to my room. All right. Well, yeah, you can go back to the cave for now, but we'll use them another time.
He lives on the second floor.
Oh, so are you effectively in the cave?
No, I just live on the first floor. There's no basement here.
Okay. Well, maybe I live in the cave.
Now that is a possibility that I would believe.
Well, our Smasher Dash lineups today are first up, we're going to be talking about two characters who are assist trophies in Smash, but also, or rather, one of them is no longer an assist trophy in Smash for some reason, but they both have been over the course of Smash's history. And they're both characters that have produced cult following since around the Brawl era, and also were introduced to American audiences properly when their games were released on the Virtual Console. And then for our next matchup, we're going to dive into two other Assist Trophy fan favorites that are better known characters, uh, strong, like female side characters to the story of two separate, very well regarded franchises.
What an amazing descriptor you have there.
Yeah, that was
You
that
could
was a
also say
mouthful.
that they're both requested characters fairly heavily since the Brawl era. Tapered off a bit since then, but their names were
Yeah.
pretty popular back then.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know your
Mm-hmm.
Smash Assist trophies, you probably know who we're talking about at this point, because there's not many options.
It's Knuckle Joe and Vince. What can I say?
You know,
Knuckle Joe and the Moon, rather.
you what? I vote for Knuckle
Yeah,
Joe.
I vote for. We'll see when we get to that actual episode. For starters, it looks like we're going to be seeing Sin and Punishment Saki Amamiya and the mysterious Murasame Castle's Takamaru butt heads.
That would hurt.
Yes, it would, and it's a good thing that they're the ones actually fighting. We're only controlling them. I guess
I
since
wish.
Saki is the first in the lineup, maybe I should just go ahead and
Maybe
toss
you
out a little
should just,
description.
talk about Saki there and not other things.
Okay, so Saki is a de facto slice and dicer, and you might think that that's a little unoriginal for Smash, but don't worry, his sword actually has a cannon in it as well. And
Oh,
it's a
me oh
beam
my.
sword.
It's starting to sound like
Neil
Astral
Diamond.
Chain.
Oh yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised if Astral Chains took some of its aesthetic from the world of Sin and Punishment, because they're both kind of gritty sci-fi universes. Sin and Punishment is more mutants. Astral Chain is more demons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but eh,
Alternate dimensional beings.
alternate dimensional
Not alternate, but
beings.
like other,
Okay.
other, like otherly, weird shit.
Hmm.
Weird shit from other
Okay,
dimensions.
got it. Well, I guess Saki and the Astral Chain folks have something a little more in common too, because it's pretty much the same thing here. Where in Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth on the Nintendo 64, Saki's a member of a group of saviors called the Savior Group, to say the least. That's pretty nondescript. And they are going to, their intent is, they're essentially anarchists fighting the power of against a government agency in a futuristic Japan, um, called the Armed Volunteers. That's the government agency. So they're an oppressive group that has essentially taken over Japan. And then somewhere along the way, they're also fighting the creatures called ruffians, that are species of mutants, and still kind of a topical thing today. The ruffians were mutated by eating genetically modified food. So there's some weird things going on. So with Saki's dolphin gun, he's able to attack from a long range distance as well as from a short range, because he has the beam sword attachment for melee, and he has a long range attachment for shooting little miniature lasers and cannon fodder and the like from his from his reticle. And he also has a like flame jets at his disposal through the cannon thing. It's interesting, and somewhere along the way, he also gets the power of the ruffians when he himself is transformed into one. So there's quite a bit to work with here, and essentially he's a freedom fighter from a future time, and sin and that's kind of him in that's kind of him in Sin and Punishment. And Sin and Punishment is an on rails shooter game presented in a 3D scope. It was pretty damn impressive back during the 64 days, to the point that they had to use the 64DD attachment in order to process all of Sin and Punishment.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, there's that. And there was also the Star Successor on the Wii in 2009, that maybe kind of came from Saki getting a bump from representation in Brawl. Maybe. And there you go.
Well then.
How about how about Takamaru?
So we go from a character from a what you could call dystopian future of Japan, or
Right.
authoritative future, whatever word you want to choose there. Let's take a trip back to the Edo period of Japan.
Okay.
Feudal lords, samurai, people
Oh
being
yeah.
saved, aliens.
Yeah,
What?
I was just
Wait,
there
hold
yesterday.
up. Aliens? Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I was reading up on Takamaru in this game, and I come to find out, yeah, the whole thing is because of aliens. Ancient history, eat your heart out.
Hmm.
Oh, boy. So essentially, what Takamaru is going through here is there's the Murasame Castle. It's huge. It's gigantic. People love it. But it's attacked by aliens, and a giant statue is there called the Murasame, and it just becomes alive for some reason. The aliens decide to take control of some other nearby castles, as well as some daimyo, and they're using some powerful orbs. And they're now summoning ninjas and evil creatures to attack the people. And then the shogun is just like, hey, Takamaru, I don't like this. I'm going to hire you to go save the world. And if you die,
Yeah.
well, shit.
He's there. It's kind of James Bonding it undercover.
Sure, sure. So Takamaru has to go through all four castles, defeat the four daimyo, destroy the orbs, blah blah blah. It reaches Murasame Castle at the end. He fights the statue because that's a thing, I guess. And then when you destroy it, he's able to go to the aliens and destroy all the aliens. How this game makes any sense, I don't know. Sometimes I gotta wonder, Nintendo, what drugs are you guys on? Seriously. What the hell? Especially Earthbound. What were you on? I don't know.
Another fine alien story right there.
Jesus, sometimes Nintendo just blows my goddamn mind. But Takamaru, as far as like who he is as a character, we don't really know much because it's an NES game. But he's a fairly typical samurai from what I'm aware of. He's got a katana he fights with. He can throw shurikens. He had a game or like a mini game appear at Nintendo Land that was based off his game where you just like throw shurikens at a bunch of paper ninjas, and then at some point there's a tank, and I never got past the tank. I wasn't that good at it. He also made an appearance in one of the Samurai Warriors games, the third one, I believe, where I think they actually have just like a remake of Mysterious Murasame Castle in Samurai Warriors 3.
Right.
And you essentially are playing through the game in that. It's like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Pretty out of
That's pretty
nowhere.
cool. It's pretty cool. So, which is, so they can pull easily from that to see some of his fighting techniques. Samurai Warriors is a hack and slash game. Like, if you're familiar with the Nintendo-ized versions of Fire Emblem Heroes, Hyrule Warriors. Oh, Heroes, not Fire Emblem Warriors. Gosh darn it. There's some Dragon Quest Warriors games. Persona 5 Scramble. Those all work the same way. And Takamaru is in one of those.
Right.
I don't know much else on how exactly he would fight, because he's pretty much he's a samurai. He's got a katana. He's got shurikens. That's what he does. Yeah. I'm not sure if he has any magic. Have you played Mysterious Murasame Castle at all?
I have, but I haven't beat it because it's one of those games that's very similar in structure to more of the Twitch-style action games now, where you're really having to use your reflexes wisely.
Mm-hmm.
It's hectic. But I have done my research on him as well, and I know that he has access to essentially there's a game in Japan.
Apparently he has fireballs and windmill swords.
Right, there are windmill swords as well, and the fireballs. Fireballs come in the form of a will-o-wisp too, so that makes it a little more interesting. There's a game in Japan called shogi. It's a board game.
Oh yes.
Similar to chess in a way that there's rooks and bishops and kings. So he's able to influence his moveset by having depending on the shogi piece at play. So he's able to say throw the will-o-wisp or throw the windmill swords or throw the shuriken in kind of a all-around pattern with 4 separate ones surrounding each other, or he can arc them in a certain direction, or he can throw them forward in rapid fashion, depending on if he has a rook, bishop, or king shogi piece on his person. So I can see that potentially being an extra skill or a down special or just some sort of gimmick accommodating his character as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also he's also kind of a very traditional samurai fighter, which in itself makes him unique in Smash, because while he's could be described as fairly generic outside of it, We also just don't have a character who fills the niche
We don't, and it's
in
really
Smash.
surprising, honestly.
It
There's
is.
several options
And,
that they could go with, and we just don't have
mhm.
any of them. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, we have characters that are supposedly fencers. We have characters that play a lot like knights, big sword style fighters, uh, who are like brawlers, like Ike or Cloud or Ganondorf. But we do not have a character like that, which is a very different kind of fighter, like Lyn, who draws and sheaths her blade, her katana at a moment's notice to be a precise swordswoman. It's translated easily into the way Takamaru fights as well, in a kind of strike and counter samurai moveset. So that's interesting to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
And then
between
yeah.
the two of them. There's also Samurai Goro, and who knows how many third-party Samurai Beast characters there are. It's like even though he doesn't have a whole lot to him that we can see in his game, or even if Sakura doesn't want to pull too much from Samurai Warriors, you can still
Hmm.
just look at one how traditional samurais their fighting style in real life and how they move, but also how these other samurai-like characters work in other video games, and just pull some inspiration from there. It wouldn't be the first time a character gets moves that they never showed in their games.
Yeah,
Zelda,
speaking of Earthbound.
Ganondorf,
Hmm.
Earthbound characters.
Hmm.
The list goes on.
Robin with his down special.
Pikachu with Skull Bash,
Yeah.
Jigglypuff
Stuff
and
that lit.
Puff Up. What the
Hmm.
fuck is that?
Hmm.
Why?
Hmm.
Why?
There's also Incineroar's side special, but at least that makes aesthetic sense.
I mean, by that token, Puff Up makes sense. It does not, by the way. Puff Up does not make sense.
No, no, but I dream about it
I wish
sometimes.
it would be replaced by Hyper Voice. If you still want to have Jigglypuff be jumped up to gigantic, I'm going on tangent here, but I don't care. If you still want to do that part, fine, fine. Just change the name
Hmm.
of the move to Hyper Voice because Jigglypuff screams at the end, and then I would not bitch about it. Mostly,
Right, right.
it
So I could
annoys
see
me. It annoys me the most with the Pokemon characters. It really does. It's like this isn't a Pokemon move. What the fuck? No.
because it's not like there's a lack of inspiration to pull from for Pokemon. There's
Exactly.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of moves. Yeah. So nice, nice. But so yeah, with Takamaru though, I could see him being a fighter that's very distinct in the sense that you fight him and he is resorting to using his sword and sheathing it and unsheathing it in the samurai style. Very perhaps dodge and counter based character at heart, with the focus on releasing quick strikes of his blade before resheathing it. Um, he'd be a very lithe character, I would imagine. Quick on his toes
Oh
because
yeah.
like Murasame Castle, that's a very again action oriented, fast paced game.
He would be
Uh,
comparable to Marth probably.
I would think so too. And honestly, there's no like remiss in looking towards samurai and traditional media. Samurai 7, even Ghost of Tsushima coming out soon, to draw inspiration just from the general samurai aesthetic. So there's that. I guess we could also probably talk about Saki.
There's also Sushi Striker from Sushi Striker.
Also true. That would be utterly bizarre, and that's probably exactly why Sakurai would go for that.
He would not.
No, he wouldn't. He
The
would go for
best we're getting is
Takamaru,
a Musashi assist trophy, which I would
and I would be
die.
okay with it. Yeah, and that's on Smashtopia too, is it not?
No, not yet. He was mentioned in our assist trophy extravaganza, though.
Right, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, on the other hand, Saki, it's interesting. They're both characters who you're going to have to be a little liberal with how you pull for the character because they're both fairly standard at their base. Because Saki has his dolphin blade slash cannon sword, depending on what game you're playing, or gun sword, whatever. Like it's called different things for some reason. But I would go with the dolphin sword myself. Um, he's a fairly standard fighter. It's an on rails shooter at heart. So you get your upgrades with the gun blast, but they're not plentiful. You're able to charge a blast. You're able to shoot more rapid fire. and that's generally about it. You
Mm-hmm.
do have to, so like just thinking here, he would be a utilitarian character. Like back when I was thinking about how he'd play in Brawl too, when the character base was much smaller than it is in Ultimate, and you would be more easily able to get away with a moveset like this. I was like, oh, so he's basically a cross between Marth and Fox, and it's generally the same to this day. Um, he can deflect with his gun sword as well, which is kind of cool. Like I would imagine something more like the mean sword fighter move, where you just swiftly strike and then you're able to deflect a projectile.
Oh yes, okay.
That could be, yeah, that
Where
could
he
be
like
something
kind
that
of
he
spins
has.
around. There's this like rainbowy effect.
Yeah, which makes sense a lot more to me, like with the painter outfits, like the Bob Rosses or the Vinces of the world.
Right.
But yeah, so like that, and then he can also shoot a jet of flames from his gun, which from his gun sword, which I would imagine would be an easy up special, if not just something more akin to swiftly riding the gun up into the air and doing some sort of move when he hits his apex, which is easy to do.
Right.
Um, I guess something interesting about Saki too is the reticle lock, because again, it's an on-rail shooter. There's a reticle available at all times. You have the option to lock onto opponents. That's one of two styles you can do. Just locking on, attacking one at a time, or having a free range reticle.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you would translate that mechanic into Smash, but if you could, it would add something more unique for him.
I mean, I got two ideas for you right now on how that can work.
Okay.
First of all, we seal that move away from Palutena. Auto reticle.
Yeah.
It's already exists. It's right there, and then she can get one of her other moves that she had in Smash Four. Alternatively, make it be either a down special or a an extra skill. If an opponent is within range, uh, a reticle goes on them. It's a small icon will appear next to their percentage, just to kind of show as an easy indicator, hey, this is who you currently have targeted. And then there would be like maybe a certain move or two that he'll use that if nobody is reticle, like let's say it's like a guided missile or some sort. I don't know I don't know what all of his weapons have if he has more than just the gun, his sword, or not. But let's just say he has some kind of guided missile or whatever. He fires it, and it will just go in a normal straight line if nobody is reticled. But if somebody is being targeted, it'll just go towards them.
Yeah.
And they could be across the map, they could be behind you, and it'll just go towards them while you can still be doing whatever you're normally doing, fighting whoever else.
Yeah, that could work, and that would be a unique take on the move that I don't think anyone would object to in the Sin and Punishment purist world either. Quite. So yeah, those are two good options to make him a little more unique. Other than that, I think this is probably the de facto route people would take Saki with his Final Smash too. It's pretty obvious because at a certain point he can mutate into a ruffian.
See, I was
Uh,
just reading about
yeah.
that. I was going to ask about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. He essentially looks like some sort of weird hybrid Gundam in his ruffian form. So that could potentially be an extra skill or something. It's an obvious Final Smash.
It sounds like a
It's some,
Final Smash.
yeah, like he has all of his same general ideas, but he is in this form where he's much stronger and more akin to being invulnerable than not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's bigger, faster, and stronger too, essentially. So, and he's the first member of the Savior Group crew.
You know,
So,
you said first member, and I immediately went to DK rap.
yeah, that's what I was going for.
Like it wasn't
So,
even a hesitation. I was about to say of the DK crew, and then you kept going. I was like, okay, never mind.
yes, of the Decree crew too. Um, so yeah, Final Smash, and I assume that would be like a cinematic where he becomes a ruffian and he smacks you and then just unloads all of his weaponry on you, and then you go back.
Okay.
Blammo! Explosion time. Yeah.
Now I
So
do have
yeah.
a question for you about Saki. So
Hmm.
the wiki page I'm looking at here does not give me much information. There's nothing about what he can actually do besides. I don't actually. It doesn't even say that he has a gun. the gun. It's in his picture, but it doesn't tell me anything about it. All I'm getting is, oh, he has strange powers, and at some point he becomes a ruffian for reasons. So, besides, is there anything he has besides being turned into a ruffian or his gun sword thing that he can use to fight? Does he have any, like, I don't know, other items or axes or whatever, weird magic fireballs or shit?
Honestly, no, not really. Not a whole lot to choose from. I'm sure that you can pull something from Star Successor and just apply it to his character. Maybe you could even have the lead characters from Sin and Punishment from Sin and Punishment Star Successor be, swapped out with Saki in the character select,
Mm-hmm.
or be an echo or something, or you could pull a Simon Richter and be like, oh yes, they are echoes of each other.
Oh, I hated
But
that.
it was, it was interesting. Like, there were other Castlevania games. There's a multiplayer Castlevania game where where Richter and Simon generally have the same moveset. So I like to just kind of think that that's where they're pulling from with that
Right.
madness. Um, I would have to rethink about Star Successor though, because at the same time, I know that the lead characters, Isa and Kachi, also didn't really have much in terms of what's immediately available to them, because it's really just, oh, they can slash with their sword, they can shoot things, they can
Right.
deflect projectiles with the sword. And I know that the difference between Isa and Kachi was the reticle. Like, the one was a lock on and one was free range, kind of like Saki already has going for himself as an individual. Um, Saki can also roll. How about that?
I mean,
Honestly,
yay?
yep. Honestly, there's not too much. I'm sure that I'm underselling it because it's been 13 years since I played the original Sin and Punishment. But yeah,
I
just
mean, this is
off the top
also
of my head.
sometimes what's difficult for us is we'll have characters that we want to talk about and we know a little bit of, but
Hmm.
we haven't played their games, or at least not in some time, and their wikis just don't
Or
have
not. Yeah.
anything for us.
Hmm. But yeah, from what I can remember playing, it's a fairly straightforward experience for a shooter like this, because you think of other on rail shooters, like even the 2D games like Gradius.
Yep.
You have Vic Viper, and Vic Viper has a laundry list of 7 or 8 abilities available to it as a ship that you build up through the game. Sin and Punishment, I think because it was a 3D on rail shooter, there was less that they wanted to pursue, or less that they could pursue, given that it was on fairly limited hardware and they
Right.
were working with so much more. Yeah. So essentially, you have that general gameplay with Saki, dodging and then slashing and shooting, and that's generally it. If you were going to be a little more stretched out, I would say you can probably steal the lasers and the missiles from other enemies and be like, oh yes, using his ruffian powers, he can apply this to the dolphin gun. Which, I mean, this is the guy in the game series that was like, let's give Zero Suit Samus rocket heals.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a
So
thing.
yeah, so it wouldn't be that far out there to kind of like steal from other ruffians or steal from other enemies. But as far as what Saki has immediately available, and we kind of already laid it on the table, which given Takamaru is kind of in the same boat.
Yeah. With that, I don't really think there's much more to discuss about them.
I agree.
I see value in each of them being as much. I think they could both bring something new.
Yeah.
Takamaru, first of all, being with, hey, you know what? We actually have a samurai. That's
Hmm.
fucking new. He may be generic in that sense, but it still, and it'd be another nice NES character to have in the game. Uh,
Yeah.
and then Saki, honestly, the reticle thing is actually really interesting to me. If that could be
That's
made,
also true.
I would. Sakurai's been in a thing ever since Smash 4, where he's going all in on the gimmicks. Almost every
Hmm.
character that's been added for Smash 4 and Ultimate has had some kind of gimmick that's central to them. Some are a little bit more
Right.
subtle than others, like Banjo Kazooie, but generally there's something there.
Hmm.
And Saki's could easily just be that reticle, places it on somebody. I would say it wears off after time, and then he can have multiple moves that will target whoever that person is, and he can be out fighting someone else and be hitting two people at once on two different areas of the map. That'd be pretty interesting.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. I agree. Then, then for Takamaru too, there's just that benefit of having a samurai, and if you're going to have a samurai, he's pretty much it. I mean, there's Lynn from Fire Emblem, but I think that she's also more of a like a slinkier character than Takamaru and would play in a different sense. Takamaru also just doesn't have a bow available to him, or just many of the same criticals or powers that Lynn has available
Right.
to herself. So they would still effectively fight in very different ways, despite having the similar aesthetic background. Um, so there's that, and then there's also just I don't know, the shogi pieces, I guess, introduce something interesting, potentially. Although Saki in the potential gimmick regard does have Takamaru beat, in my opinion. It's ultimately just you have two fighters that represent fairly nondescript archetypes in the sci-fi and the kind of more historical fiction realm, both of which are very valid to be represented in Smash, both of which aren't really represented in Smash at all right now.
Yeah.
Both of which have pretty good options to be represented in Smash in the future that aren't them, like potentially another character from Sin and Punishment, like Isa, or whoever the other character was from Star Successor that I can't remember off the top of my head, or even Silux if he actually does get a big role in Metroid Prime 4. Um, and then Takamaru has Lin, I guess Samurai Goro, maybe, but that seems so random at this point.
He,
Um,
well, you
yeah.
could say
Mhm.
that Lin and Takamaru would have some similarities. Samurai Goro would be a completely different style. He's more of a wild samurai. He
That's
has
true.
no calm and composed nature to it, the way he moves and attacks. Lin and Takamaru, I could absolutely feel like you could make them be different. I already have some ideas in my head on how it can be done, but they would be a lot more comparable to each other than Samurai Goro is to either of them.
That's true. That's true. In that case, it's really just a kind of a two and two sort of thing. Yeah, we've kind of hit the end of our rope with these characters, I think, as far as the discourse on their different moves goes.
I agree.
So it's really just what do we prefer between these two characters who are inexplicably more tied together with their backgrounds representing two different Japanese eras per se than initially surmised.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
Hmm. So yeah,
So where are you feeling on this? Do you feel strongly either which way yet?
I I'm feeling a little conflicted because aesthetically I vastly prefer Takamaru. Like the idea of having a samurai is just more of my personal thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a character that I would be more interested in playing as. But Saki also threw a curveball in there with us talking about the potential for the reticle focused extra skill. So that's where I'm kind of standing right now. How about you?
So here's kind of where I'm thinking with this. I feel like both characters, with what we discussed so far, are on similar playing field. They're both older characters. They both honestly have low chances of getting in Smash in reality.
Mm-hmm.
They both have the potential for melee and for range.
Mm-hmm.
One I think has potential to be more unique, just comparing themselves between the whole cast and what they can do with the reticle for Saki. While Takamaru is more of, hey, here's this archetype that we don't have yet. So
Right.
there's several pluses in each of the categories, but I feel like they're both still fairly even. It could go either way, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, if they're both going to be fairly similar gameplay wise, as we assume, for the most part, it's more about which character themselves I would rather see.
Right.
And I think I'm gonna say, I think I'm gonna go Takamaru.
Yeah, at this, I agree with you on that. I'm gonna go Takamaru as well, and that's just my personal preference, and I think it's also just because it's felt like over the past decade, there's been minor efforts to resurrect Takamaru and Murasame Castle that just haven't come to fruition yet.
Yeah,
With the Samurai Warriors 3, with the Nintendo Land, with him becoming an assist trophy, with I think he has a mildly higher fanfare than Saki as well at this point for getting into Smash. And so all of that's come together to just kind of build, and I don't know if it's artificial or not, this hype for me with the character. So personally, I'm more invested in him than Saki, even though the reticle introduces something a little more unique. I mean,
right.
Takamaru has extra projectiles going for him too, and so it's not like he's a character that you wouldn't be able to shake something at. Yeah. So I'll go Takamaru, if only for even the hope of having game resurrection in the future, because there's so many places you can take some wacky premise like that. You can go wackier, you can go serious, you can make it an action-based game. Like Ghost of Tsushima, you can make it an action platformer that's more lighthearted. There's so many directions to take it. And I think if you have someone like Sakurai who resurrected Kid Icarus so well, manning the helm on that per se, it would be good no matter what.
I agree. I was actually about to mention that is Sakurai brought back Kid Icarus, which at that point had only had 2 games. The second game of which people tend to forget exists, and it was just a really old and I would say fairly difficult NES
Yeah,
vertically scrolling platformer, and he turned it into an on like a half on rail shooter, half not on rails ground shooter. I don't know how to describe that part of it, but it turned out fucking fantastic. People love the characters in it. It's chapter based story. It's got one of the best difficulty management settings of any game out there. I think with with the cauldron and whatnot. It
yeah,
was just an amazing game, and I would love to see what Sakurai could do, revitalizing other older titles that people still talk about, or perhaps they would just want to see, hey, you remember this? No? Well, now you will.
right, right. So I guess that's kind of where we lie. We are in agreement, and Takamaru's moving on.
All right.
Uh, wow, that reminded me that we had a matchup in our previous Smasher Dash that was not so clear cut.
I was about to bring
And
that
again,
up.
yeah, should we save it for the end?
I think we should go
Or
ahead and take this interim phase, so go ahead and talk about that. So,
okay,
in our
so yeah,
last Smasher Dash, we discussed some third party characters, but what we're really caring about is the indie characters that we discussed Shantae and Shovel Knight. I argued for Shantae, you argued for Shovel Knight, and we remain divided by the end of the episode. So we turn to
hmm
you, our viewers. Who should it be? Is Shantae added to Smash? Or is it Shovel Knight? And we have a
right.
broken tie. Jonno. Who's being added into Smash? And who is getting dashed?
Well, not only is this individual celebrating the recent release of a critically acclaimed new title in their series, also she's getting added into Smash. So Shantae won the Smaster Dash in a vote of 4-3, so narrowly beating her opponent Shovel Knight, who is now
Alright.
dead. Shantae has been smashed summarily.
You four made the
So
right decision.
yeah, shall we call out the losers,
No.
including me? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm totally cool with Shantae being added into Smash. And honestly, I think that she does have much more at her disposal than Shovel Knight. It was sheer bias on my end. I think that it's just a series that go toe to toe. Although Shantae has also been around longer, so kudos to her.
I mean, they're the most argued for indie series in Smash, or at least they were. There might other games like Hollow Knight have kind of been jumping up there in the conversation as well. But in like the Smash 4 days, it was Shantae and Shovel Knight. Nobody talked about anyone else from the indie
Hmm.
scene.
Yep. Very, very true. Well, yeah, congratulations to Shantae, and we'll see you in Smash, I think. At least in our dreams,
In our
our
dreams.
collective dreams, because you won.
Yes.
So good for you. And now that that's over with and that bitter battle is complete, we shall move forward with our second matchup for this Smasher Dash, which is Midna from Twilight Princess and Krystal from Star Fox, the critically acclaimed Star Fox Adventures in Assault.
And Command. She was in Command.
And I forgot, I was trying to remember the name of Command, but yeah, Command.
Most people try not to remember Command. Funnily enough, it was not good. It was
It
not.
honestly just wasn't. It just wasn't. The mission-based structure was kind of interesting, but it was just executed. It was ambitious, but executed poorly. The one thing that I can give them credit for is that it wasn't another Star Fox 64.
True, but instead they gave us like 8 different endings that you could get in the game, and there's no indication of okay, so which one really happened?
Yeah,
There's no true ending. It's just like, oh yeah, here's 8 different endings.
yeah.
Oh, you don't like that Krystal becomes a bounty hunter in one of them and joins Star Wolf? You don't like that Fox and Falcon become F-Zero pilots in one of them? Too fucking bad. Because you'll never know which one is true. Spoiler alert. How about we just say the game itself isn't canon and we move the fuck on?
Hmm. Also, the fog of war elements in that game were horrible.
Doesn't really make much
Absolutely
sense for a
abysmal.
space game. You have radar on your
No.
ships. Come on.
Yeah, well, at least we had a great opponent. At least we had a great adversary in the form of the Anglar race.
Which was just fish people. Fish!
Yeah, you know
People!
what? I like this. I liked Assault though. I actually liked that quite a bit. Adventures was okay, given
Assault was a
the
good
time,
game.
but it was just weird. Yeah, yeah.
People only didn't like Assault because they didn't like the ground combat. It's like, I get it. It was a little clunky. But
Mhm.
maybe if we don't trash the whole game, we could get improvements. Nope, no, you're just gonna trash the whole. Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Well,
yeah.
that's fine.
And honestly, that multiplayer in Star Fox Assault, ooh, holy moly, that defined an era for me. That was good. Anyway, anyway.
Anyway, we should
Uh,
actually get into the characters.
and Twilight Princess, what a great game.
All right.
I'll throw that a bone too. Okay, okay, yeah. So Midna versus Krystal. Midna. Our favorite impish friend and our favorite character who stands at about 3 feet tall in the entire Zelda series, unless you're a freak and love Tingle. Well, I'm a freak too, but I like Midna more.
What about Makar?
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder when Makar's gonna get into Smash.
What about Toon Link? He's like 3 feet tall.
Is he or is he like 4 feet?
I don't know, man, but he's short.
He is. He is.
You,
Well, if
you,
we're
you
gonna get a
could say
Korok,
you could
yeah.
say he's just a little bit minish.
Also true. If we're gonna get a Korok in, I would like Hestu at this point.
I
Just
mean, yeah,
imagine what his final smash could be. Like you can loop it into that end game reward.
it's just the dance, and then weapons fall from the sky.
There you go.
Kind of like
Okay.
PK Starstorm, except it's swords and shit.
I would like that. But yeah, so Midna, who is from a game that doesn't have Hestu unfortunately, but is from Twilight Princess, which was kind of Nintendo's answer to the fan drama behind Wind Waker's reveal. Um, I would say because we got into this darker aesthetic that we were semi-promised by that Space War reveal of Link and Ganon fighting each other, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna get like Ocarina of Time again," but then it was something totally different. This was more going into what Zelda fans at the time were driven for.
Yeah,
And funnily enough, wasn't as well regarded or received or critically appraised a game as Wind Waker in the end. So,
I mean,
woohoo.
honestly, that's the funny thing about that kind of graphical style. The more dark and gritty or realistic graphics you're trying to go for, the less likely that they're going to hold up to the test of time. The more cartoony,
Yeah.
like Wind Waker or Mario Galaxy,
Yeah,
those stand
Okami.
up to the test of time.
Hmm. Yeah,
What your
absolutely.
realistic graphics were in 2010 are going to look shit in 2020.
Yeah, it's like Wario Land Shake It versus Wario World.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Yeah. So but yeah, Twilight Princess regardless, the whole realm of Twilight that they enveloped us in was better than the Twilight books and movies themselves.
I
Which
mean,
but
that's not a high bar.
it was just a time for Twilight back then.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. But so Midna is one of the Twilight race, and she hails from the Twilight realm. Incredible. Her identity is fairly vague throughout most of the game, but she is essentially your call to a Navi type character in this title. Although obviously far less annoying and kind of a better built character overall. So Link at a certain point early on in the game transforms into Wolf Link due to the influence of Twilight taking over the Light Realm.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's thrown into a dungeon in Hyrule Castle, that's where he meets Midna, who is also one of the prisoners. And Midna hops on Wolflink's back. They escape Hyrule Castle together, enter the Light Realm again, and that's kind of just the start of their adventure. And for most of that adventure, she is in her cursed imp form that is, the 3 foot tall little thing that is able to influence Twilight magic and also has a gigantic arm that is made out of her hair
And it's weird.
that juts out of her head. So there's that. And I mean, in the realm of Smash, I mean, getting it out of the way, she's absolutely going to be an inform. No getting around that. And then I think the only thing that's up on the table is the influence of Wolflink in the moveset. Does he ride Wolflink all the time? Does Wolflink appear for some attacks, or does Wolflink not appear at all? But regardless, that just means there's a lot available to her moveset. Bada bing, bada boom.
Indeed. So on the other side of the aisle, we have another character that came about. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I was about to say they came about in the GameCube era, and that's completely false. Actually, they're from the N64 area. Wow, my bad. But Krystal comes from Star Fox Adventures. That was her first game. But the funny thing is, that game was not supposed to be a Star Fox game. Originally,
Mm-hmm.
it was going to be Dinosaur Planet, and Krystal was going to be the leading role. She was going to have a secret brother or something in the game by the name of Saber. She's going to be more cat-like than fox-like instead. And they really only just made her
Right.
fox-like because, hey, look, we have a love companion for Fox. Let's make her a fox, because that makes sense. Unlike some other franchises where it's like, hey, look, a fox and a rabbit.
A hedgehog and a
We'll make
human
them
woman.
be romance. Like, no, can we not? What the fuck?
Oh boy.
Zootopia, why? Why? Really, why?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so Krystal is the main character of Star Fox Adventures, or well, she was until they made a Star Fox game and they decided, you know what? You're now gonna be the character they play for the first 5 minutes, and then you're gonna give your weapon away to Fox, and he's gonna be the new main character. Well, I hope you like being on the sideline and your debuting game that was supposed to be your first, your main game. So, yay for you. So essentially,
Yeah.
what this means is that in Dinosaur Planet, Krystal is a she has telepathic power. She can speak Dino talk because apparently that's the language of dinosaurs.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
terrible language name. But she also carried around with her a staff which could have multiple abilities, such as firing out fire, uh, ice, camouflage, and whatnot. Fox ends up using it, but anything Fox can do with the staff, it's pretty easy to assume Crystal can do that too. Beyond
Right.
that game, she joined the main cast in Star Fox Assault. She pretty much took Peppy's place as the fourth main pilot of the team, and from there, I mean, anything that Slippy, Fox, or Falcon can do, either with their general weapons or their R-wings, she can do too. So she's fairly capable in that regard. She has the exact same capabilities as those characters do, and they're already in Smash. So why the hell not? But generally speaking, most fans tend to say if Krystal gets in, she should use the staff, and she should have her appearance from Adventures, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think the costume is up for debate, but absolutely she needs to base her moveset around the staff.
Right.
The less said about Command, the better, but she's still part of the team in most of Command. In some endings, she leaves the team. One ending, she changes her name to Curse because she's feeling angsty about shit. There's an ending where her and Fox have a kid named Marcus McCloud, and after the team gets disbanded, he makes a new team of like the next generation of Star Fox characters, with Falco's kid and Slippy's kid. Actually, I don't remember if Falco has a kid in this ending, but Slippy has a kid in this ending, and it's like, why? Who? What? Why was Slippy? I don't know, but the less said about Command, the better. Okay, okay. Let's just move on because I don't want to talk about it. It's weird. It's not a good game. Can we just stop? Let's forget it ever happened. Please. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, buddy. Okay. Yeah. Um, what a great game that was.
She's also
So
friends with a dinosaur named Prince Tricky, and he's a Triceratops.
mhm. Maybe Tricky could be involved in her moveset and just like follow her around from behind,
I mean,
and
if
every single
anything,
time
he's her final smash. If anything.
yeah, but he can follow her around, and every time that she's playing, she would have to like take some time away to throw a ball to play with him or something. And
No.
when an enemy approaches, he can be like, "That guy,"
No. That's a no. I veto.
and probably also you can also probably KO Tricky, and he'll go, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa." Oh, that
No.
was just a bad gameplay mechanic. Let's just toss that one out of the way.
Yeah,
Um,
Tricky. Yeah. Bad.
mhm.
Big bad.
Although I did enjoy visiting his adult self in Assault. That was an emotional moment.
He's
But it,
also. He reappears in Assault, doesn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
he does. He does. That's what I was saying. I enjoyed visiting his adult form in Assault.
Oh, I didn't hear that very clearly then. So I have her staff information up now, and the things that she can do with it is fire projectiles, ice projectiles, temporary flight boost. She can create a disguise based off of one of the dinosaur enemies in the game, the sharp claws. She can make
Mhm.
ground quakes, small force fields, and open portal doors. I
Yeah,
don't
that's something
think
that
we could
happens.
use.
So what you're saying is that Crystal could potentially be an echo of Shell.
No, no. That's no. Why would you think she could be an echo of Chell? First of all,
They can
Chell's not
open
even in
portals together.
Smash. No, no. Portal gun works different. Way different. Stop it.
Can General Scales be a echo of Shell?
No. General
The way that he
Scales
talks is pretty
doesn't get.
sick.
Nobody wants him ever. Again,
He's like, "Oh, go
no.
General Scales."
You stop this. You stop this right the fuck now.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's a pretty wide breadth of options available to the staff, and I think the staff could also in itself be a unique gameplay style because it presents kind of like an aikido karate kind of way of fighting with a staff that
We could finally get our
also
pole arm
just
fighter.
yeah, it's just obviously something that's not present in Smash currently, so that offers a lot of credence to the character, even though it's just kind of fallen off of the years. I don't believe she's in Star Fox Zero. Star Fox Zero also sucks, so who cares?
She is not in Star
Um,
Fox Zero.
yeah, so she's kind of fallen off in recent years, but Sakurai also took the time to include her as an assist trophy in Ultimate, so there's still like some sort of recognized fan regard for her, so it's not like she's totally fallen off the wagon.
Right.
Um, yeah, pretty much the same with Midna though. Like Midna was a recent addition to Smash as well. Her assist trophy is fantastic fun. where she bursts around
Well,
and throws people around with hair. Let's roll that back and say it's better than Skull Kid.
it's better than Cap'n.
It's better than Cabin. Yeah. Or maybe it's collectively better than Skull Kid and the Moon because the Moon is pretty cool, but we were kind of teased by that in Smash. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, the Moon is there, and Skull Kid isn't. And then months later, Skull Kid was revealed as an assist too, and we're like, damn it, what? But definitely, yeah. So Midna um has less available to her canonically than Krystal, though I'm assuming with Twilight Magic you also have a lot to your disposal that comes and goes in a sense that you can just develop
Of course.
whatever you like with it. But at the same time, I mean, from Twilight Princess itself, she can throw an energy ball of Twilight, pretty similar to say Shadow Ball, but you can make it function a little differently in the way that it's thrown, the way that it moves. So there's that. And it would be kind of interesting to see that thrown by her hair on her head that
I mean,
moves.
imagine a chargeable projectile like Shadow Ball or Samus's Charge Shot, but instead of firing in a straight line, you can choose what direction to send it because she's throwing it with her hair.
That's true. That's
And
true. And
now,
then
and
a little
I would say maybe you only get to change it if it's fully charged, perhaps, just to kind of give it something there. But at that point, it's become omnidirectional. You don't
that
know
would
where
be
she's going to
cool.
hit you from.
And you can do a little Twilight Princess tie-in, get that lock-on arrow cursor available to show off the direction. That would be neat. And honestly, I kind of have always personally myself imagined Midna and Wolflink being a team. I just think that offers a little more than had if we had Midna on her own.
I agree.
Personally.
Even if it's
Okay
not
then.
Wolflink himself, like if Sakurai feels weird about doing that, would be weird since we already have multiple links and we have Crom appearing in multiple locations, but whatever. But in Hyrule Warriors, Minna is playable and she's just riding a regular Twilight Wolf. It's not Wolflink, it's just another wolf from the Twilight Realm. Or at least I
Yeah.
think it's either from the Twilight Realm or just a regular wolf. I'm not entirely sure. But the point is, it doesn't have to be Wolflink if they feel skittish about that.
Right.
There's already a
Right.
precedent set.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. That's very true. Uh, you can possibly even make it so the Twilight Wolf appears in certain costumes, even though that would be bizarre.
Yeah,
Just tossing it out there. But yeah, because you don't really play as Midna in the game, so you'd really have to just stretch the imagination. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but with Wolflink available, you have Wolflink's moveset, and you play through the game as Wolflink and not Midna. So cool. Midna helps though. Like she creates energy fields that you hold down the B button in Twilight Princess, and it's essentially the same as a spin attack, but you can move around and capture opponents within a field of Twilight projected by Midna around Wolflink, and then any opponent that is within that circular area that stretches out around the two of them, Wolflink dashes into them in routine fashion, like he hits the first opponent that was caught in the circle, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, and so on.
right.
So that could be a cool down special, uh, for sure. And then say the energy ball or it could be a neutral special. But the energy ball and that are two pretty decent ones. Up special could be,
Teleport.
yeah, could be teleport. It could be Midna jumping up a set distance and then Wolflink jumping after her, which is a mechanic in Twilight Princess. But I think teleport works better here. It's just easier,
Yeah.
and you get that Twilight portal action going on, which is a pretty cool looking thing. Um, but and then side special, um, Midna could potentially like just have her head, have herself appear over an opponent's head nearby, and then Wolflink can pounce towards them, which is kind of a thing in the game as well. Or it could be a option to use Twilight Magic in some sort of other way. There's a few things you can do. Just off the cuff, I can't quite think of it just yet. But the final smash is where it gets pretty interesting too, because I think the fan consensus is using the fused shadows that you collect throughout Twilight Princess when you finally are able to fuse them all. Big spoiler alert: this is how Midna kills Zant in the game, where
Hey.
she wears, yep, where she wears the fused shadows on her head, or I would rather say incapacitate because Zant dies a little later, um, by self-infliction. She wears the fused shadow, which is that thing on her head, and you build it during the game, and turns into a giant spider-like creature made out of twilight, and just like obliterates people with this energy that bursts out from her. So that could potentially be a final smash.
Yeah,
It
I mean, I would say
maybe
it's a
in,
strong bet. Either that, or you
mhm.
live some kind of move of hers from Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, and you can go that route, and if they're like feeling avoiding of spoilers, but Smash is a very, very spoiler centric series. Like look at Mecha Fiora, look at
Look at
Zelda and
Sheik.
Sheik. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah,
So Sakurai does
that's
not
kind
care
of
about spoilers in Smash. He gives no shits.
no, he does not. No, he does not. Look at Lucina and Chrom, etc.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say
So
the Lucina
cool.
one is a bit of a more minor example.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That was pretty early on. Okay, well, I think we've kind of made our pitches for the two characters. Or
Well, hold
you
on
want
a
to talk
second.
more on Krystal?
Hold on a second. Let's go back to Krystal here for a moment. I mentioned before
Oh, you
how
mean Curse?
no, I mentioned before how she could use the staff from Assault, not Assault, Star Fox Ejectors. But that's not all
Uh-huh.
that she is capable of. Obviously, I mentioned she can pilot an armor wing as well. She has all the different kinds of same equipment that the rest of the Star Fox team can use. But in Assault, as we had previously mentioned, there is ground-based combat. There's even multiplayer where you can do ground-based combat as well as flying the armor wings. And there's quite a few different weapons that you can do in that they could decide to also pull from to mix up Crystal's moveset beyond just the staff if they desired, or even to maybe revitalize Fox, Falco, and Wolf's movesets just a little, so they're not all three the same. Granted, okay, yes,
Yeah.
I know. There's already are going to be arguments, but Wolf's not a clone. No, no, no. I get it, but their special moves are all very similar, and they don't need to be. They don't need to be. But just looking at the different kinds of guns and weapons that they have in Assault that they could all use from, there's the standard blasters, of course. There's sniper rifles. There's a homing launcher, a Gatling gun, which is actually in Crystal's official artwork for the game. She's
Mhm.
cradling the Gatling gun, so I could imagine
True.
that would make sense for her. They have a machine gun, a missile launcher, plasma cannon, something called the Demon launcher, which is
Yeah.
it's a rocket launcher.
Mhm.
So that's a thing.
I think it shoots out like a giant red arrow.
It shoots a big old projectile, big old projectile.
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
long time since I played the game. It's only available in versus mode, so I don't entirely remember it. But it does have homing rockets that can kill in one hit, so that's a thing. They've also got cluster bombs, grenades, obviously the smart bomb, torpedoes, and other such things with that. But they have a small booster pack which can pretty much jetpack.
Right.
So she does have all those other tools at her disposal as well, which I would love for them to use to mix up the rest of the Star Fox crew's movesets, so they're not so similar. Like, why? Stop it! Stop it! Declone the
Mhm.
clones.
Yes, do it. Do it.
That's
Keep
not a
Jim Rodriguez away
clone.
from
I
Karen.
know. Shut up. I'm aware he's technically not.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pseudo
Mm-hmm.
clone. Whatever.
Yeah, we talked about that
He's
in the
still
very
very
first episode
similar.
of the show.
Yes. People get bent out of shape over people calling characters clones that they don't think are clones.
Whatever, right? I would personally be more upset if someone burnt my onion ring.
I don't like onion rings.
Exactly. So wouldn't you be more upset if I gave you an onion ring?
Yes.
Okay, maybe an onion ring should be playable in Smash.
When I make an order for food and I put in the request, please no onion ring, and they give me an onion ring, I get upset. Is there a logical
Yeah.
reason for me to be upset? Honestly, no. But god damn it, how hard is it to read just a few simple words that says, no onion ring, please? And then they throw an onion ring in there. It's like, you're wasting your goddamn money.
Does Quillix like onion rings?
No.
Okay, then I guess the onion ring's tossed out the window.
Yes. I mean, it
Nice.
goes in the trash, and then the trash gets thrown out the door, but yes.
Yep. Yep. Just imagine the brave little toaster scenario that would happen if you actually threw the onion ring out the window, though.
What if Brave Little Toaster was in Smash?
Uh, Absolutely has to have toast popping out of himself somewhere.
Obviously. I mean, come on, he's a toaster.
And I guess he would be like ziplining on his cord down some structures like in the movie. Maybe the
Why
dump
can't
could
he
be a
use
stage.
Blinky as a parachute?
Blanky can be used as a parachute. Blanky's
Goddamn
got a
right.
heart of gold. In fact, all of the characters from the movie could probably be incorporated in some way. Wouldn't be bad.
The hardest one would probably be Radio.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I don't like he could use his little another tangent here. He can use his little I don't know the word his antenna as like a sword type thing, but why? I could
Yeah.
see zooming forwards on vacuum. This makes sense to me. Using Blanky as a parachute. This makes sense to me. Radio does not make sense to me.
Radio could be some taunts. Like Radio could appear and be like, "Looking good, toaster."
I mean, he's a little bit more of an ass than that, but sure.
Yeah. So, um, cool. I didn't know that we were going to be talking about the brave little toaster in Smash today, but I'm glad that we did.
It's more
Back to
viable than
Krystal
fucking
and
Chucky.
Midna though. I kind of I have a lean right now, and I don't know if you
Oh,
do too. But after
we're jumping into the decision.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, I like how Krystal is a. You're right. I hadn't even thought of Assault. Like I didn't make that connection, and I'm not quite sure why. Probably because the majority of the items and gameplay are in the multiplayer portion of Assault, but they're absolutely still on the table. And I do recall the artwork with her and the Gatling gun back in the day. Um, Between that and the staff available to her, you are not remiss in having a whole myriad of things available to pursue with her character. Less so than Midna and Wolflink. Although Midna and Wolflink come from the angle of you have a bipedal character technically, as well as a character who's kind of sort of a grappler with the whole hair situation. So there's definitely pegs for both. In Zelda 2, I think there's more of an immediate need and desire for a Zelda character than a Star Fox character. So maybe that comes into play, at least with our biases. Just because it's like, Sakurai, what did you do? You renovated all the characters, but you also didn't give us anything else.
Yeah.
And the Great Plateau Tower stage is stupid.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Honestly, I might say it's the worst Zelda stage that's ever been in Smash.
I agree. I would agree with that.
It's too small, and the tower, cool, you could break it, sure. So we got rid of the Cave of Life, and then it comes back. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
what was the point of that?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Terrible
It, it,
stage.
it took like a very infinitesimal portion of Breath of the Wild. Like Breath of the Wild, that game, you see what the stage should have been in the background.
Yep.
Like it's
Just make it be
just
a touring
tore.
stage. God damn
Exactly.
it. Granted, I
Exactly.
know we kind of have. There's a lot of games where you can say like, oh, this could just get a touring stage for it. It's like, yes, it's what Stelvino Plaza got. It's what Skyloft got. It's what Garrett Monastery got. Though it could have been better. And sure, you could say like, okay, we're kind of getting tired of these ones, but with something like Breath of the Wild, I feel like that's really the best option. Show off some of these
Yeah.
amazing locales. You're not going to give us
Yeah.
multiple stages from it in this one game, are you? No? Okay then.
Yeah. I think Breath of the Wild and Odyssey both could have benefited from having true touring stages and not just the little weird things we got.
Right. I think, in all honesty, now that we're chasing this tangent, which this has kind of been the episode of tangents, it seems like, I think what happened there with both Odyssey and Breath of the Wild is the games were still in development when Sakurai was putting his plans together for Smash Ultimate. They weren't released yet. He didn't get to see the full areas, so he was only given small pieces that he could really look at. And the tower
Right.
is a very early spot that you go to on the plateau. There's multiple similar ones all throughout the game. It's a very iconic location in Breath of the Wild. It's very recognizable. People are going to know it. If you play the game for 30 minutes, you know what the tower is. You may not know what the rest of the plateau is, so I guess there's that. And then Mario Odyssey. What was the number one most hyped thing in all the Mario Odyssey trailers when that game was being shown off? The Metro
The
Kingdom.
Luncheon Kingdom. Oh yeah.
No. The Metro Kingdom. Pauline singing. Jump Up Superstar. It made
Hmm.
sense to choose something with the Metro Kingdom, and if he only had limited exposure to the game and what they were planning for it, limited art to look at, I understand why he would choose the City Hall, but man, looking back on it now, knowing how the game released with it, it's like that's disappointing. If they weren't just like only 5 new stages in Smash Ultimate, I don't think it'd be as big of a deal. The fact that we
Right.
only got
Right.
5 new stages, it's like, really? There's only. The best one is clearly Drex's Castle, and
Hmm.
then it's Moray Towers,
Hmm.
and I think I'm forgetting a stage. Because I know wasn't there
You.
another one?
I think there was. I would have to check. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But yeah, that's generally where we stand. Is yes, those two stages you mentioned are the best stages.
Yeah,
Hmm. The best new stages, rather.
yes.
Hmm. So, with that in mind, I just checked firstly, and no, there were not any of the stages you were missing.
Oh, so there's only 4 new stages. Christ.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's annoyingly stupid.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, speaking of annoyingly stupid, maybe we can get more monologues out of me when we talk about Crystal and Midna a little more. Is there what are your thoughts about where we stand right now?
Between Midnight and Krystal. Okay, so both these characters were heavily Crystal in the Brawl days. They both died off since then. Uh,
Hmm.
Krystal, the main reasons to have Krystal is, hey, staff. That's what it is. I mean, you could see for each
Yeah.
character that either one of them would be another female character at the game, and it's true. But considering they're both female characters, you can't really say, oh, the point of having them is another female character. They both hit that qualifier. So
Right. Right.
Krystal really just boils down to her staff. And I also have pulled up here. I had made a moveset for Krystal a while back.
Hmm.
It completely uses her staff. She just uses the fire for her standard, the ice for her side, a rocket boost type of attack for her
Hmm.
up special. I kind of just pulled that one out of my ass. She does the ground quake for her down. Her final smash is summoning Tricky to run forwards.
Yep.
Yep. And then
Nice.
her extra skill was using the Krazoa spirits, which
Oh, nice.
can bump up her stats.
Hmm.
So there's
Okay.
that. It's like a
Respectable.
counter, and if she's hit during the counter, then she gets a stat boost.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Given, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
That's pretty much what she
Uh,
has. Midna, I think with Midna you have first of all another Zelda character which we are in dire need of. And I guess with Star Fox you can also
Indeed.
say we are in dire need of a character that doesn't just fight like Fox.
Agreed. I was going to point that out too.
And then also with
Yeah.
Midna we would have, assuming she's always riding on either Wolf Link or just a generic wolf, we have another quadruped fighter, of which we have exactly one right now. No, two right now. We have Duck Hunt and we have Ivysaur.
Yeah.
So having Midna plus Wolf Link or whatever would be a boost that people want to see more non-humanoid fighting characters. And technically, Midna is humanoid, but if she's fighting on Wolf Link, then she fits the quadruped angle of it. She's very popular as well, and she'd be able to just fight in a different way than what other characters do.
Right. Right. And as far as critically acclaimed Zelda characters go, she's pretty far up there on the list of who Zelda fans would want to see at this point. I really think that she's only trounced by Skull Kid.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's
So
pretty
there's
powerful considering the Zelda franchise, for the most part, doesn't have recurring characters. There are some characters that use the same name. Like I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure, like there's different impas.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
very few recurring characters in Zelda, and that's kind of by design.
Right. Right.
So to have one of those one-off characters be remaining popular all these years later, that's something.
It is. And as for Krystal, I think that her popularity has kind of waned over the years, but there's a certain standard about her character that will remain evergreen because, as they say on the internet, and as they've said on the internet for 15 years, everybody loves a staff user when it's Krystal.
What?
Everyone wants to pursue the art of staff work when it's Krystal, like
Okay.
fighting with a staff. They really appreciate that that's something that she does, and that's what they like about her character.
True. I
Hmm.
feel like you were going somewhere
Yep.
with that, and I wasn't quite following.
Yep. Oh, that's where I was going. It's cool that she uses a staff.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. Just like
Hmm.
Bandanity.
Yeah, exactly. Politani uses a staff, but not in a very forthright way.
Nah, it's only for a
So,
couple attacks.
so the real estate is still there to claim per se. And again, she does have a plethora of moves at her disposal using the elemental elements of the staff as well as potentially tools from assault. So, from that level, there's much to consider with her against Midna, who is primarily more geared toward less towards what you can do with the moveset and more towards what you can do with the design of the character. Because having a quadruped fighter, along with certain elements like her hair, make it a unique experience unto itself.
Right.
Right. So I think that we've kind of come to the point where we can draw our conclusions on this. How about you?
Yeah, I would say so. I can't really think of anything else to really mention on either character.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my idea on who I feel like I would rather have over the other. I think both are great options, and I would not be opposed to having both, which has kind of been a theme for most of these Smash Dashes. Where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'd love to have both these characters, but the whole point of the game is you could only have one, and we just
Yeah.
have to figure out who we'd rather have.
Yeah, and it's who's getting smashed and who's getting dashed, and the T-Rex from that dinosaur game is not on the list today.
Aw, poor T Rex from Mario Odyssey.
I know, I know.
He's so
I
cute
was
with his
thinking
little
that
mustache
Jurassic
and hat.
Park. Yeah,
Well, that's a
I know.
licensed property, and that's a fourth party character, so it's
One of these days when we have our fourth party episode, which is clearly going to happen.
clearly.
What if Mickey Mouse were okay? So I shall place forward a vote,
Go for it.
and that vote is for. Shall we count down together?
Or you could just
Three,
say it.
2,
One, go.
71,
Jesus Christ.
84, the one who they call
Get on with it!
Andim. Andim is the name backwards. Midna. Sorry,
Alright, so you're going with
I was trying
Midna.
to figure out his name backwards. Yeah.
What, you took too long. Let me just put it that
Yep.
way.
Yep.
You took damn well too long, and I'm not using this time to stall and try and think of what my vote is going to be. That's very much a false statement, and nobody should believe that because the truth is, I already know who I'm going to go with, and I had it before you started your weird little thing there.
Okay.
I am voting for the character. That one I like better, and that two
Mhm.
I think could be more fun in Smash, and three their franchise needs it more. Midna.
Mhm. Oh, controversial choice.
I don't think
But
that's true, but okay.
it's a good thing that you followed suit.
Well, it's what I do. I wear suits.
Yes, you do, and you look very dashing in them too.
That's not true.
Well,
They are very uncomfortable.
well, it's pretty uncanny that we hit an episode where we actually agreed and aligned with both characters fairly easily.
I mean, it's not the
Um,
first time it's happened.
no, it's not, and it's not going to be the last. It's just
No.
that having that memory of Shovel Knight and Shantae being fresh in our minds. Uh, there we go. Kind of refreshing. It's to have a little bit of a more straightforward episode this time, at least for our viewers, so don't have to ransack them into making another tiebreaker vote. So, in closing, two great choices. They were both
Congratulations,
the characters.
Takamaru. Congratulations, Midna. You made
Hmm.
it to
And
Smash and our
and,
dreams.
con- and congratulations to Dante too.
Yes.
They're both characters, Midna and Takamaru, that going into this, they were the ones that I wanted to choose just out of a forthright bias without giving it much thinking. So I'm happy with the result. Cheers.
All right. So,
Um,
Jonno, I
yeah,
have a question for you.
yeah.
What's our next on topic episode?
Our next on topic episode is going to be, and don't mind me because I'm not stalling at all to check our
Okay,
Google
well,
sheet
I
on
know
this.
what it is, so I guess I'll just go ahead
Oh
and cover
yeah,
it. It was
I
it
said
was
the
actually
thing.
teased. Yeah, you said the thing. It was teased not that long ago. We're going to be discussing are fourth parties inevitable in Smash?
Hmm.
Find out in our
I
next
think
on
so.
topic episode. Uh,
Yep.
I kind of already have an answer for myself, but we're going to be talking it out, and we'll see just where the hell that hellhole of an episode is going to go.
Mr. Clean is going to be in it somehow.
But what about Tony the Tiger?
Tony the Tiger too. Captain Crunch from that typing game.
Tony Hawk?
Tony Hawk, that's for sure.
Yes.
Uh, even Reggie himself riding Mokuchin.
But what about the Reginator instead? Or the Reggie
Oh,
Fizemac?
that's true.
The Fizemac, that's
That's
what it
true.
was.
Yeah.
I forgot the name. No.
Yeah, like that would be good, just so we can have like play Reggie, like claymation Reggie,
Yes.
as an ultimate costume. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. My body is ready for it, and we will see where that leads. But in the meantime, congratulations for the smashing and the dreams and the characters, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.